think this episode we should be naming not the domain admin anymore.
Yeah, not the domain admin. But if you have a story about getting domain admin, please, I'm always interested in stories. So
We'd love to hear if you have any stories around that.
yeah, I'm always interested to hear stories. I've got a few interests. So I'll talk about two. The first one is slightly different because it was much earlier in my career, but it was a rare kind of assessment that I would usually not get on my plate very often, which was a Ocean's 11 style assessment. Okay. So
Okay.
so you basically have to go into this organization where there's a laptop that's been placed in a particular cubicle, and you gotta take that laptop, connect it, finish the full assessment and get out without being caught. So you basically got to get domain admin without getting caught. And as I was, going through that process, remember you have to physically break in and then go through that. And I remember uh, one of the scariest moments for me really was, just how there are multiple companies in the same building, right? And
Shared. Yeah.
it's a shared facility, and so there's
Yeah.
different companies on different floors. And so I'd spent a couple of days outside that building. I figured out what the badge looks like. I managed to click a picture, create a god honest replica of it. Like I said, we already had the access card. I already had the access card. But one of the things that I did not end up doing was actually doing recon of the elevator itself. Right.
Okay.
And the reason I didn't do it at that time was because there was a security guard standing, there and thereabouts all the time. And I just want to get on his radar. Because, by the way, it's still scary to do this in real life. Okay.
Yeah, it is.
And
You're constantly thinking of what if you
yeah.
get caught.
And
Yeah.
the fun part is they give you this letter, right? So only a couple of people in the organization know this is happening. And so they give you this
The
letter.
authorization letter just
Yeah.
for everyone to, yeah.
Yeah. And the way that thing was worded was like, uh, please do not attempt to physically subdue or arrest this person. And I was like, can that really? Like,
Yes,
is
that
somebody
can.
going to rugby tackle me just because they're suspicious, or what's going? Anyway, I got into the elevator, right? And I did the old Starbucks trick, right? You have, oh, can you please get the floor for me, kind of thing, um, to somebody else who had the badge. But what I did not know the first time I went in, I was alone in the elevator, but only the floor that I needed to go on was access control. So you needed to tap your badge, but mine was a fake badge. Like
Okay.
it didn't actually have the RFID. So
This is funny.
I had 4 Starbucks in my hand, and I was just going up and down the elevator. And at some point you look up and then you say, oh, there's a camera there. So if there's somebody that's watching the camera, they're going to just see me go, up and down the elevator. Finally, somebody else entered the lift that had the same badge, and I was like, "Hey, can you help me out?" And they was just like, "Okay,"
Yeah, that's all
and
it takes.
that's all it took. And then, a series of tailgating, and you were in. So one of the things that I had to do was prove that I was already there. So I had to take pictures that I was inside, and like my hands were shaking. So half the pictures are like super grainy. Uh, but but I had fun explaining why the pictures were grainy in the final presentation. But then, of course, after that, everything went well. And I was able to get a connection in and find the laptop and all of that stuff. So that part was pretty smooth. Not getting caught, however, for that entire duration of time, because I was there for about 2 days. I mean, I left in the evening and then I did the same thing the next
Okay.
day. Came back in the same way. And I was basically uh, standing in the break room where there was a printer and pretending to fix the printer. And so people were just coming into the break room. I was having conversations with them. Like my confidence was off the charts on day 2. Like I was like, I got this. I can do.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a fun one. Um, on the technical hacking side, uh, usually the competition is on how quickly can you own the entire environment. because the mechanics of how you do it can vary. And there was this one time where I had squat for 3 weeks, right?
What?
Well, I had nothing. I had
Okay.
nothing. I had nothing. Um, and even the time
This was remote or this was at the location?
this is remote only.
Okay.
Okay, but I'd got some level of access, but I had nothing, nothing. And this is less about the technical hack than the pressure surrounding the hack, because my boss was calling me and is like, "What's happening? What's happening? What's happening?" And then just by chance, red teaming is a lot about patience, right? You're just going after every possible avenue and you just have patience and you don't give up. And so on the third week, I had access to this one server that had one file, that had one password, uh,
Finally.
on one password, no username also. And so I
Okay.
had, but the password kind of indicated, what the potential users are, because it was the name of the system. And then just with that one password stored in that one file, it went from there to domain admin
Awesome.
in 4 hours. So it's a lucky break, right? Because you have this one password, and then you go like, oh, this is now suddenly giving me access to this system. I can get more passwords, and then from that you expand your search out and you get more passwords. And so that was the one where, saying for 3 weeks and not having anything was really one of the most fun times, because when it's easy, it's like, eh, okay, you're done. Like in 10 minutes, you're done with the whole thing. But that slowly gets old. It's rarer for you to go in and be there for 3 weeks and not get anything, you know. But eventually kind of also shows that if you have the time and the patience, that you will eventually get there, which is kind of the messaging that is there across the security industry, that attackers have the liberty of time. They will wait for 7 months to find the right opening. And I mean, I do sort of see where that messaging comes from, you know.
Yeah,
Whereas,
I think for real attackers, I think for red teaming folks, there's still time bound in many ways. And I think during the process, it seems like it's a lucky break, right? Because you're trying every single door and then one opens up. But it takes a lot of hard work throughout all of those 3 weeks. I'm sure it would have taken. And I think many of these are obscure, right? All of these either systems or assets that we are trying to leverage definitely are obscure. It's not very easy to find some of them. Some are easy to find. You just don't look in the right place. But yeah, it takes a lot of hard work. But it was quite interesting listening to your story, especially the elevator one.
yeah. I think
So
the thing I
share
always
that.
like to tell people is, I don't think I'm like a great, super technical tester, even when I was really in the subject. I know that there were people that were way better than me in terms of pure technical aptitude, and the capability of what they could whip up really quickly. But I think persistence is the other side of that equation. And I think that's also an equally valuable skill set, you know.
Yeah,
So
it's
I just
very much needed on
I
the
used to
attack
get by on
side.
persistence. I just used to get by on persistence after that, you know. So,
Whatever works.
whatever works, exactly.
Okay, cool. Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot for joining us for the rapid fire today, Sudarshan. We'll see you all in the
Thanks
next
for
episode.
inviting me. Yeah. All
Bye.
right.